Alright, this is a 2000 Mercury Mountaineer that I purchased for $400. Issue was the timing cover gasket, which you should be able to see in blue. You can kind of see it there. You can just see it in the background there. Was blown, and that was causing coolant to bleed out, and thus you couldn't hold any coolant. The car would run hot. So the owner luckily had replaced the radiator, the prior owner, and everybody had done okay, but there's a lot of rinky-dink stuff that had been done by prior shops. Oh, the rest of this truck, though, you could tell when I had it running off of carb cleaner, which I just thrown into the intake here, because the fuel pump was also bad due to sitting for years. The engine sounded fantastic, so it was a truck worth doing something with. Paint was shiny here. It needs to be buffed here a bit. Unfortunately, though, the inside had another problem, which was the sunroof was leaking. There are they're drains in the corner of your moonroof. You can see one over there. There's another one right there. Each one was blocked off with dirt up in the sunroof, which was causing the water to run in the vehicle, and it just went everywhere. So I've taken the carpets out. I've pressure washed them. Everything is as clean as it's going to be. This is a CD changer complete with a magazine. Wow. I think there's some ashes and cigarettes in here. This was a family vehicle, and I believe some of the family members were showing how cool they were when they were 18, 19, 20s. So there were a few cigarette butts strategically stashed inside the truck. So, unfortunately, with these trucks, they don't wear too well. As you can see, the armrest here just looks like absolute trash. Sort of like this seat bottom here. See all this nastiness all along the edge of the steering wheel. But the one benefit was it came with Ice House. That was under the seat. Cigarette butts, money, spiders. Plenty of wonderful benefits that came with this. So in the end, I'm probably going to have about $500 of materials into it. So that plus purchase means it's going to be at $900, which I think is a pretty fair deal for a truck that has 155,000 miles on it that runs and drives. It's in pretty good shape. It's in pretty good shape for a vehicle from South Carolina that's been sandblasted from the wonderful South Carolina roads. And unfortunately, the roof paint's kind of gone. But again, it's a $1,000 truck. It's worth $1,500 bucks. I have a broken vacuum line here, and we'll have to figure out what the heck that is for. But that's it. So today's task, we have a wheel bearing to change up front here. This is what you could kind of tell just looking at it. The wheel is cocked in a bit. It's probably not going to show on video, so it needs to be fixed. The other side needs a tie rod, which controls your steering inputs. It's worn out, so once those two are done, we'll see what we have left to do. So let's get started. Okay, so task one for today is going to be part one here is going to be taking the wheel off, but I thought I would demonstrate what I'm doing to do that, just to show I do have a jack stand under there as well as a jack, so I even do have backup. I'll try to get this as centered as I can with this El Cheapo sand. So, if we look at this here, you can probably see how the wheel display there as well as there. So that thing is junk, and I need to get the new wheel bearing out, and I'll show you exactly what has to happen with that. So here is our new wheel bearing. You can even see when in China they actually made this, May 18, 2018. So it's only been sitting around for a while. Usually these surfaces come with some kind of coating on them to keep the rust down while they're waiting for the American consumer to buy them. As you can see in the video here, it's got just enough drag in it, which means it's got plenty of grease, not like I have a choice to get in. And it's splined because this truck happens to be all-wheel drive. So there's some drive axles up front. It comes with the cable which connects into the body of the vehicle. This is for the anti-lock braking system. And that is about it. So our next task now is going to be to start disassembly the front of this. I just wanted to make sure the part looked correct, which it does. And I'm sure this was made in China somewhere. But C-Tech has managed. Oh yeah, it says China on it. So let's get to work. Alright. So we have a rotor that's completely wasted, end links which are junk. I don't know if you all can see that. So, as you can see, the end links are garbage. These are junk. And the rotor has a huge lip on it here, which is junk. Brake pads have some life. Are they frozen? Kind of frozen. Don't know about this joint. There should be a boot that goes around it. I don't see any boot. How about down here? Not much of a boot left down here either. So let's see where this takes us here. This could be plenty of work to do for many days. I have to now take off the caliper, which is with 13mm bolts on the back side, followed by, I think it's some 15 or 18s or something. It is interesting to note though that these discs still have, these washers are installed at the factory just to hold the rotor up to the hub so that you don't have to hold it while you're sliding the caliper on. You never see this on vehicles, especially this old. These are usually gone after the first brake change on the front of the vehicle. So let's get to work. So I've just completed taking off some of the front end parts here. Here we have the end link, looking very good. Of course, this is quality here. As you can see, the rubber is still nowhere to be seen. So that's junk. Next up, ball joint. This is the lower ball joint. Here's the castellated nut. And this ball joint is junk. Why is it junk? Hopefully the camera can pick this up. Can you see the movement? So it's junk anyways. So bye. And for the third part, upper control arm, which is right here. It's unfortunate because the bushings are still present and accounted for, which is a shame. But unfortunately this ball joint not doing anything. If I can get it to hold steady, you can actually see it has upward and downward movement too. Just a bit. So it's junk too. So what are we going to do next with this fine Mercury? We're going to go to pull apart and get 1 or 2 upper control arms. I got to do the passenger side. 1 lower ball joint. And we have 2 new end links and 1 inner tie rod to install. Can you tell that these things are hard on front end parts? We'll be back.